Hello, everybody. Good day to you. Welcome to the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories From Beyond. I'm here. No further time slips tonight. I'm sure this will probably be a consistent run, I'm thinking, since there's no commercials to throw me off. If you missed it last night, Don and I had a time slip of our own. We ended up we ended up shutting down the show a full half hour early. It was just brilliant. I can't even believe it still. It still cracks me up, but it was so dumb. It was awesome. I love it. It's just, you never know what's going to happen on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. But that's why there's a part 1 and part 2 for last night's episode. Part 2 is just mostly Don and I laughing for about 15 minutes and then a couple more stories. And then we ended the show for real. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here. It is Sunday. And I know tomorrow's Monday, but remember, just send forth those positive vibes that it's going to be an amazing day, and maybe it will be. So anyway, I hope you're all ready because it's time for bed. Deb says it couldn't have been any better if you'd had planned it. You know, if I would have tried to plan that, it would have just looked like I tried to plan it. I could never have pulled it off. It was just so dumb, but it was so funny. Don and I were both thinking, hey, we're done. You know, I don't know what the hell went wrong, but it was interesting. It's always interesting here on the portal. So you never have a normal episode. And thank you for all the remarks I got, both in messages and by email and on the actual video. Holding the Anubis again. All right, so I hope to entertain you now for about the next 50 minutes or so. I've got some stuff pulled up. I hope you will find enjoyable, and if not, then you're just a tough crowd. But I hope you'll like it. I hope you like every show, but it doesn't always work out. But I think everybody's been really calm and kind and supportive, so thank you for that. We got another podcast coming out tomorrow, and this is going to be another one of our listener emails that have been submitted to the show. I've been going back every once in a while and pulling up some of the listener emails that you guys sent in, and they can go back a year or two. But really cool. It's fun to go back and, reread those. And many of them, it's funny. I've covered so many stories. I've actually forgotten a lot of them. And it's like reading them all over again. It's like, wow, that's really cool. So I had a discussion with one of those people that submitted one today. After I was reading it, I was like, oh, hey. And I got some more details and stuff as well, which is really cool. So very crazy stuff. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I got some stories, so I better start doing it. Getting busy here. There's 19 of you in the door so far, so I guess that's good enough to start. And I'm sure many more will come in as the time goes on. Again, make sure to check your bell. Make sure it's rung or clicked or whatever. I don't know. People are telling me they're getting notifications like a half hour after the show starts. I don't know what the hell's wrong. I don't get it, but I understand that YouTube is an incredibly huge and complex network of things going on, but some reason the notifications are really an issue. So I'm not pointing any fingers. I'm not saying anything's up in that regard, but it is curious that notifications still continue to be an issue, but not just for this channel, for pretty much every channel out there as far as I understand. So let's go to the first one. And the first story tonight is from California. It says, I live in San Francisco, California, in an older section of town in a relatively new condo built in 1989. My husband brought home a charm at Christmas time in 1995 that a friend who was experimenting... Whoa, I read this one. I must have. Or did I read it afterwards? I'll reread it anyway. It sounds... I don't know. It's a bizarre thing. Brought home a charm at Christmas time in 1995 that a friend who was experimenting with the dark arts made, and he set it on a glass entry table. In February 1996, the energy activated by the charm came into full bloom. For instance, I took off a pair of earrings one evening and set them on the armrest of a chair. Well, they were gone the next morning, and then reappeared shortly thereafter on the ottoman beside the chair. The energy became more aggressive as well. My beloved cat and I were in the dining area, and we heard a distinct meow. And my cat began to walk towards the noise, and my cat became more and more under attack, and ultimately, with the lid of his litter box, was turned upside down into the litter so that he couldn't use the box. He was really distressed by the attacks he was under and was observant of unseen energy around him. Sometimes I'll see Anubis do that too, just kind of like looking at something, and it may just be a bug. I don't know, but he sees something sometimes and is looking around, and sometimes he'll just sit there and stare. Last night he did this. This was kind of interesting. He was sitting next to me, and he was just sitting there and looking, and all of a sudden, he's really intently looking at something, and I'm looking at him. I'm sitting in the chair in the living room, and suddenly he just, boom, bolts, runs all the way upstairs, running around up there, and then runs back down, and then up and down. It's just like he just went suddenly mental. It was crazy, like he was chasing something. It was really cool. I don't know if he caught it. I don't know, but it was interesting nonetheless. So let's see. The door of the oven opened overnight, and I heard raging around sounds in the living room at 4 a.m, and the back of the entertainment unit was pulled away, and I could hear it being pulled out. I saw a red warrior metal-type entity with a shield for a split second marching towards the charm on the entry table. There was a knocking sound above my head and while showering or dressing in the morning, and finally, in April 1996, I contacted a spiritual source and was told to take the charm away at the new moon and place it at a crossroads, which turned out to be in a trash can over near Metro Stop. I then cleansed the house with white sage, and some of the harassment stopped, but it still exists. Now, my husband and I are both heard a wind, like a hissing sound, from the closet area where the entity stays most of the time. The energy tried to enter me while I was lying down, causing a heightened experience of color and forms. I lay down on the bed and heard a bang, and the entity caused a noise from the metal bed frame and then moved the covers, and I felt a chopping blade kind of experience in my midsection. We've heard clicks and bangs throughout the house, and recently the entity marched towards me close up. I felt it and caused the floor to vibrate. A favorite ploy it has is to activate the computer from sleep mode to ready mode. How can I rid my home from this energy? It has been here for 10 plus years. The energy is definitely not good. Well, at that point, if you've already saged your home, you got to get somebody in there. Make a call, and somebody can come over and help you, or even remotely help you. We have such resources here on the show. Several wonderful people have stepped forward and said, if somebody needs help, let us know. And they're not charging for it either, ladies and gentlemen. So if you experience a problematic haunting of your own, you can definitely check it out and give us a call, or give us an email at paranormalportalradio@gmail.com, and I will certainly put you in touch with those people. All of them, and including we have Barb Charlton, who is a specialist that deals with the emotional trauma and PTSD and how to process that. And a lot of the paranormal stuff comes with, if they're really aggressive, with a pretty hefty dose of PTSD. And I've had her. I can't say I've had her. That sounds like I'm in charge of her. But Barb has stepped up and helped some people on the show already, and it's been wonderful. I've heard back from people that she has helped, and it's been great. She's doing it pro bono as well. So with people like this, we just have this amazing group of people all around the show. It's just so incredible. So a special thank you to all of you who have stepped up and said, "Hey, I'm willing to help," whether you be investigators or of the paranormal sort, of the Bigfoot sort and cryptids, or the spiritual sort, and et cetera, et cetera. So it really means the world. A special reminder, ladies and gentlemen, this Friday night, Deb Varner, our own Deb Varner, is going to be coming onto the show to do live readings on Friday night. So make sure you're here. Call in early, hold the line, because the last few shows she's done, it's been a full board all night long. It's crazy, or at least most of the night. We never had. She's gone from call to call to call. There's never any downtime anymore for Deb's shows. So make sure you call in soon and get on the horn and hold it. So, but that's a cool story. Unfortunately, I hope that person's found the help they needed. This was a story from 2008, so it's quite old. 11 years old now. It's hard to believe that 2008 was that long ago. Man, I'm getting old. All right, next story. I've got another story for you. Oh, this one sounds a little dark, but it's a quick, short story. So it says, from Florida, it says, one night while I was sleeping, I had a dream about the devil. It had white horns, a mark on its forehead, and a mark on its chest. His body was all black, and it was smiling at me like he wanted to kill me. Ooh. When I woke up, I was sweating and I was scared to death. This happened on May the 2nd, 2008, after me and my friends talked about demons and ghosts. We also found out that devil backwards is lived. I have no idea the relevance of that. Did you know that devil backwards is lived? What does this mean? It says in the story. It means you just trying to make something happen there, or something. You're trying to make something incredible out of nothing. Sorry. That just killed me. That cracked me up. After I dreamed about that, I started seeing shadows. Stuff has begun following me around. Boxes and bags are falling out of my closet, and when I was eating cereal, I went to my sister to ask her if I could use her brush. I heard my spoon move, and when I turned, my cereal was shaped into a happy face with triangle eyes. I saw a little girl with pale skin, a black dress, and a white bow on her hair. Another girl I've seen is about 13 and has been following me around, and she's just a shadow. A little boy has been following me around also. I don't know why this is happening or what they want from me. My father told me that when the priest came to bless the house, he said there was something wrong with my brother's closet, that there was a demonic presence, and all the stuff that has happened to me has occurred near my brother's bedroom. Are his closet and my friends and I the reason why? I don't know. Could be. The devil backwards has lived. Okay. All right. I'm sorry, but that just cracked me up. It's like, of all the silly things you could point out about something like that, that is pretty bizarre. All right, I gotta pull up some more fun for you guys. Those are just a couple I had open and hadn't read, so on to new ones. All right, here's one from Virginia. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to call in and be a part of the show, you're certainly welcome to. You can call in by calling 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. That'll get you through. I've been kind of so busy doing stuff today. I'm just really really punchy. So it's like the first time I feel like I've talked today that wasn't show related. I mean, to you guys is what I mean. I've been talking into a microphone and editing all day. So it's been a long day. All right. This isn't a scary story. Oh, it says, though this is not a scary story, I need some help. Why does it start with an I in a box and then say, though this is not a scary story, I need some help? Okay, I don't know. I've always heard that if someone has passed, that before you go to sleep at night, you can ask God to let you dream of them. And there's a reason for me asking help from the contributors of this page, because I've read a lot of posts that some of you have written, and if someone on here doesn't know, then I'm lost. My granny that I wrote about in a different story died almost 2 years ago, and my papa died almost 9 years ago. I've never dreamt of my papa, and I've only dreamt of my granny once. About 2 months after she died, my kids and I were leaving from my parents' house. It was about 9 p.m., and it only takes me about 15 minutes to get home. Excuse me. When I was about 2 miles from home, I was going through a traffic light and was almost hit by a transfer truck. The driver had run the red light, and luckily he was able to stop about a foot from my vehicle. Well, this scared me to death, and I was shaken for the rest of the way home. And when I got home, I called my parents to let them know that we had made it home and about what had happened. I don't know if it was because of the trauma that had happened earlier, but that night was the only time I have ever had a dream involving my granny. In my dream, she was dead, and she was lying in her bed at the house, and there was a golden brooch that was pinned on her dress. I didn't like the placement of the brooch, so I moved it, and when I did, my granny opened her eyes and started gasping for air. Well, this freaked me out, and my mother closed her eyes and kept repeating, "I'm not seeing this. This isn't happening." My granny kept telling me to come and touch her, and that she wasn't cold, so that she wasn't cold anymore. And I told her no and got in my car and left. When I got about 2 miles down the road, I looked, and Granny was sitting in the passenger seat of my car. She told me that she wanted to come home with me because now everyone thought that she was dead and she couldn't go back home. I told her that I was sorry and that she couldn't come home with me. I dropped her off at a little diner and just drove off. Well, that's weird. I want to dream about her and let her know that she is welcome to come to my house. I want to be able to dream about her, even if it's about things that happened years ago, and I just want to be able to see her again. Any help that anyone has would be greatly appreciated. I don't know. That's strange. That's a very strange series of things. I don't know. I don't know. That's weird. All right, Washington is next, ladies and gentlemen. Right next door to us here. Built in 1908. How big is this story? It's a really big story. Okay. Built in 1908 by Chester Thorne, this 27,000 square foot manor is the Gothic Tudor style and is only one of its kind on the West Coast. Chester Thorne, one of the founders of the port of Tacoma and the first president of the National Bank of Tacoma, later National Bank of Washington, built this home for his wife. Since the construction, many notable guests have stayed within the beautiful brick walls. Both President William Howard Taft and Theodore Roosevelt are just two to mention. Pieces of this castle, like the staircase and stained glass, date as far back as 400 years. Construction took 3 years to complete, from 1908 to 1911, with many of the materials, including the bricks, oak paneling, oak staircase, and medieval stained glass, coming from a castle in Europe. Mr. Thorne spent a substantial amount of time and money collecting the glass from the 15th to the 17th centuries. These artifacts were previously owned by a duke who spent 40 years collecting them. We had a chance to stay at the Thornwood Castle on Monday, October 24th, 2006. 2 days after our wedding date, my husband and I started a group in that very same month with only 2 cameras, 2 small dictation tape recorders, and big ideas surrounding the two of us. And although we had been investigating 2 years prior with various groups in our state, we did not become official until this date. We like to keep it simple. Our anniversary for our wedding is October 22nd, 2005, and therefore we chose to have our group's anniversary on October 22nd as well. We remained a mom and pop paranormal team for approximately a year. And then we began to build and expand, and today we have a few close core members. I'm not going to name all those names. But Mrs. Deanna Robinson, Thornwood's current owner, held a candlelight mystery tour on the evening of October 24th, 2005. What better way to have a honeymoon than with the spirits, candles, and tales? We joined in for an investigative-style tour from the basement to the top floor of living quarters built for the servants, and the tour extended out into the secret garden and surrounding grounds of the castle. The tour started with a fabulous dinner held in the formal dining room at 7 p.m. My husband and I, David, observed a few other guests present for the evening's events. There were 2 ladies from Canada, one single lady venturing out to complete a desire to stay in the castle, and a reporter for the Tacoma Home and Garden magazine. We discussed why we were there over a display of aromas, sights, and textures to make any palate salivate with desires. Oh, this is really a dry story. Okay, I don't know. Okay, this is just somebody's. Never mind. I'm skipping this one. There's nothing going on. It's just them experiencing this castle, which is fantastic. I think castles are beautiful and all, but I'm not going to read a 20-minute story that might have, like, seeing a shadow or something. Okay, let's go on to something else. This one's coming from North Dakota. About 5 or 6 years back, I woke up to a terrible nightmare where I was running from a lady that was calling my name. As I ran, I fell into a pit to hell. Jeez. Right then, I fell into the flames of hell. I awoke in fear, still hearing my name. I checked around my house, but find nothing strange, and as I'm walking back to my room, it stopped. Well, I lie back down and fall asleep, and as I have the same dream, I notice some about the laid I noticed some about the laid a faint recognition and sorrow in her eyes. I don't know what the hell they're saying here. And my running from her went on for quite some time, and then I awoke from the dream. I'm sorry, that whole sentence doesn't make any sense. But I assume they had the dream again, and they were running from the lady and who looked sad. Now fear is spreading through my body, and I could barely move. As I slowly started to get back my movement, she started calling my name again, which still would strike fear in my body. Well, I managed to get out of that room and look around the house. As I slowly walked from room to room, I felt sadder and sadder, but I finally reached the last room of the house. But I still came up with nothing until I returned to my room to get a good sleep, even though the calling of my name continued. So I slowly walked to my room, nervous of what I might see, and right when I get to the stairs into my room, a lady with long brown hair, no legs, and a white robe is lifting the covers up to my bed, and when she discovered I was not there, she turned around. Fear had taken over my body now, and I couldn't move as the sad lady walked towards me. I finally kicked into action, and then I ran into my parents' room. The next morning I told my parents my story, and they said I was dreaming, but I knew in my heart what I said had happened. I told my 2 sisters and then my brother the same story. My sister didn't believe me, but my brother, who is a strong believer in ghosts, believed me. That was the last I saw or heard of that ghost, and it may be the last, but who knows? Okay. Excuse me. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight's stories are kind of logs, aren't they? Nothing really fantastic is going on here. All right, let's check this one out. This is coming from Michigan. I got family from Michigan. It says, I honestly don't think my house is haunted. I don't hear unexplained noises or see apparitions or feel the slightest bit uncomfortable anywhere in the house, even our newly finished basement. But apparently Lily does. I don't know who the hell Lily is. After Susie died suddenly in the backyard while I was at school, of all places, my parents bought me a new little black and brown Yorkie that I named Lily Sue, Sue after Susie. She weighs about 5 pounds and can fit cupped in both palms. She even has a small white tuft of hair on her belly, and though she loves to be the hot shot and attempt to scare much older, bigger dogs, she really is just a sweet, tiny, harmless little pup. Not the least bit intimidating, if you ask me. However, she has recently taken up barking at what appears to me... Did you guys hear that? That was weird. What appears to me to be absolutely nothing, followed by a fit of whimpering and one Lily scurrying out of the room. Did you guys hear that or no? Huh. I heard something like a voice. That's weird. Huh. I'm currently alone here. There's not another soul here, so just the cat. At first I thought nothing of this. Where the hell was I? Not the least bit intimidating. If you ask me, however, she has recently taken a barking, absolutely nothing, followed by a fit of whimpering and one Lily scurrying out of the room. At first I thought nothing of this. For one, I thought I was sensitive to things lurking around in houses, and I never felt a thing here. But this became harder to ignore when one day things started to get a little bit out of hand. I just let Lily in from outside when she walked to the edge of the landing, facing the basement, and just stared. At first I thought she had spotted a pair of underwear or a sock. She loves to dig these items out of the laundry basket and treat them like her toys, but I saw nothing of the sort laying around, and we had just done the laundry. The clothes basket was empty. However, Lily spotted something and began to growl, eventually becoming somewhat vicious, or as mean as a little Yorkshire Terrier can get. And I decided that the best thing to do was to grab her and go upstairs. This was only a quick fix. About 20 minutes later, while chewing on a toy and enjoying a little nap on my bed, Lily looks up suddenly and fixes her eyes on my closet. Much barking ensues. I thought that maybe there was a string of dangling from a shirt, or that a dust bunny emerged or something, but a good assessment of my closet confirmed that nothing of any interest to Lily was there. I looked at her when I was finished, and she seemed uneasy that I was in it, a bit scared and even sad. She didn't have any more fits for the rest of the day, but sure enough, as I was getting ready for bed, Lily spots something in my closet once again and decides to bark, growl, and jump up and down on my bed. I did yet another inspection and found nothing, and told her to chill out, and she did, but she still had her eyes fixed on that closet, occasionally whimpering, occasionally looking at me, and occasionally pawing at the bed as if to say, "I want out of here." And when my dad finally came home from work, she gladly went to his room to sleep for the night. At one point, I did start to feel uneasy, but really only because Lily kept barking at something I couldn't see. I started to remember a time when Susie did something similar. I was straightening my hair before school in front of a mirror, and Susie was in my bed, and she sat up fast, began growling at the wall behind my desk. She hopped off the bed, but refused to walk near that wall, and whimpered at me when she realized all other escape routes were blocked. But unlike Susie, this was not a one-time thing. Lily already had freaked out twice, and I had no solution. I went to my dad's room and scooped up Lily Sue. When she noticed I was taking her to my room, she started to squirm. But a nice rubbing of the belly was all she needed, and she was out until 3 a.m., when she proceeded to jump out of my arms in a barking fit at an invisible something in my closet. That was it for me. I too jumped out of my bed, yelled at something, grabbed the dog, and ran out of there. I told my mom that something was in my closet and began to climb into her bed when she kindly informed me that Lily wasn't welcome. I set her on the ground, but my mom feared she would ruin something in the house and told me to go find her and put her in my room. I picked her up and put her on my own bed, put her on her own bed, and then put myself to bed as well. About 5 minutes later, I heard a soft petting of paws on the tile floor and the ringing of a dog's collar and rabies tag. I assumed this was Lily, but was surprised at how few steps I heard. They just seemed to stop at the rug. I figured she had plopped her butt down and I simply hadn't heard and passed that off as a logical solution. I tried to doze off, but my mom sat up and asked me where Lily was, and I told her she was sleeping on the rug, but my mom said that Lily was nowhere to be seen. Rather annoyed, I stepped out into the hall and noticed that Lily was laying on her bed in my room, looking at me rather wearily. I grabbed her and her bed and set them both on my mom's rug, but Lily was not up for that. She took one look at the rug and bolted into the hall, where she just sort of sat pathetically. I really didn't understand what was going on, but she was pretty firm in her decision to stay off of that rug, so I threw her back on my dad's bed and she stayed there for the rest of the night, and I finally got some sleep, but then I realized Lily wasn't wearing a collar. Ooh, that's creepy. That is really creepy. I'm going to have to listen back to this episode to see what that sound was. It just came through kind of like that, just very faint though. I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but it was weird. It was a bizarre one. Such is the life of the portal, I guess. Let's see what's going on. Pull up some more fun. All right. Oh, you did. Aussie heard it? Okay. Cool. I don't know what the hell that was. What did it sound like to you? I gotta wait for the response. Nothing yet. Well, if it sounded like something to you, let me know. Sounded like a woman talking. Yeah, that's what I thought. Exactly. Very weird. I'm home alone. I mean, I got nobody else here in the entire house except for my cat. So it's just me. So I don't know what they're talking about, but that was strange. I do have the Ghost app running. Oh, I forgot to launch it. It's actually open, but it's not running. So it couldn't have been that either. I got to open this. Hold on. What's the date? Okay, now the Ghost app is running. I just started the session right now at this very moment. So I don't know what that noise was, ladies and gentlemen. That was it really sounded like a disembodied voice. I don't know. It wasn't an EVP. Well, I guess it could be because I heard it through my headphones, so it could be an electronic phenomena, but I didn't have like an ear open, so I don't know if it was actually audible or not. Okay. Well, it sounded like whispering to Aussie. Okay. So to me, it sounded like female Noli, but yeah, that was weird. Oh, okay. Noli heard it. It's woman's voice. What I heard, Ken heard. Yep. There you go. I guess maybe I should. I mean, I don't know. I'll light some incense. I've got frankincense incense. I don't know. I mean, I don't have a bad vibe or anything, so it's not like freaky, but there again, anytime energy builds up to that level, I figure it's probably a good idea to knock it back down a little bit. Not that I'm opposed to presences being here, but if they're starting to take over my show, then we got to talk. Hold on while I light this up. Smoke them if you got them. All right. Is Deb Deb's in the chat, isn't she? Deb, you got anything about what that could be or could have been? Maybe she missed it though. Okay. I'm now cleansing. See, incense is kind of like a passive cleansing. It's not an active kind of cleansing, but it's good. It's good to knock down energy in a very rudimentary way. So I swear I heard the same segment the other night. Oh, that's weird. I haven't. Okay, I'm glad a lot of you guys heard it. I thought it was just me, but I was just like, what was that? Because I know I know I'm alone in the house right now, so there's nobody else here. Everything's all locked up, so that's crazy though, huh? Very strange. I guess I can put this here. But yeah, incense isn't really an active kind of cleansing. It's just more of a passive cleansing. Oh, hello, Daniela. You missed our disembodied voice on the show. There's some voice came through on the equipment, and it was pretty cool. But a lot of people heard it in the chat as well, so I'm glad it at least translated over there. Yeah, true story. Ask the chat; they'll tell you. I was just reading a story, and all of a sudden I heard like come through the headphones. I'm like, what the hell was that? True story. But always some strangeness on the portal, ladies and gentlemen. What is that? What's going on? Huh. Very strange. Okay. All right. Yeah, things are kind of acting up here tonight. It's a bizarre night in the portal. But I've had a headache all night, too. Maybe I need to take some aspirin. All right, the next story's coming out of Georgia. So, sorry, I don't mean to be distracted here, but it's kind of it's kind of wild. I mean, we talk about ghost stories, but it's kind of cool when something happens that could very well be paranormal itself. So, nothing better than experiencing it firsthand. So, there's no other sounds going on in the house at all. So, very strange. Yeah, you can call in. Thank you, Duke. Good to see you, Duke. You almost heard it. What did you just get here? Yeah, it was like, I looked at the clock. I think it was around the 7:26, 25 or 26 mark. So about the 25-minute mark, somewhere in there. So I looked at the time because I want to go back afterwards and have a listen to it and see what it sounds like. But it was definitely peculiar. All right. I guess I could run my recorder while I'm doing the show. I could be recording these as well at the same time, just on Audacity. Could be recording these live, but I never think about it. I never think about checking the shows for actual, actual paranormal stuff. And quite honestly, I wouldn't have time to sit and go through each show very carefully listening for any kind of anomalies. But I do often hear strange things in my headphones, but usually it's more like odd sounds. It's not like a voice. This is the first time I recall hearing a voice coming through. But it's not that it couldn't be. Yeah, we can do long distance exorcism. I don't think there's anything to exercise. I just think it's something's here. But I actually got to ask, Don, you're here. Hey, Don, I got a question for you that's related to the paranormal. When you were here last night, did you pick up that spider magnet and put it back on the garbage can? Did you pick up a magnet and put it back on the garbage can? Good to see you, brother. Thanks for coming in. I'm waiting for Don to answer because yesterday I noticed Anubis was playing with this. It's like this magnet that we got at a Chinese food place down in Coeur d'Alene. Okay, you sure did. Okay, that explains it. But I saw Anubis had pulled it down and was playing with it. And then today I saw it was back on the garbage can. I'm like, what the hell? But I thought, well, Don was here. He probably did it. So I wanted to ask you. So there you go. Mystery solved for that. Debunked. Always got to try to debunk things, ladies and gentlemen. But the voice, Don, you missed the voice, by the way. Something came through on the show. Sounded like a woman's voice. Many people heard it in the chat as well. Well, I appreciate you doing that. You could drag a vacuum next time you're over here too. Just saying, if you want to. If you want to pitch in, you're welcome to. So anyway, all right, let's continue here. Where was I at? Okay, so this is Georgia. My best friend had a dream in which I was in. The way she told it actually absolutely terrified me because she said it was so wild, so vivid rather, it might have been real. I might also admit that I was at her house when this happened, in case that makes a difference to the readers. But she told me then late at night she dreamed that she was walking around her dark house, and she looked around and I was next to her. She looked forward again, and we just sort of walked around some more. Then she told me that she looked around again at me, and something happened. My appearance was changing into something evil. She said that my hair was turning gray and frizzy, my teeth turned yellow, and my face turned a white-gray color. And finally, my eyes rolled back and turned completely black. She woke up screaming, which woke me up, and then she told me the dream, and then she made sure I wasn't still demented. And I told her it was just a dream, but the thing that made me think it was more was that the door to her bedroom was open. My friend only sleeps with the door closed. The little fact scared me half to death. Could it mean that I'm evil and something happened, or was it just a stupid dream that means nothing? Thank you for reading the story, even if you think it was nothing, and I'm crazy for getting scared. So those kind of dreams are odd, and I understand the trying to look for meaning, especially if it's a very vivid dream. You always try to look for meaning into what could that be. Is it symbolic to try to tell you something? Is it literal that this person is going to do something to betray the friend and turn ugly on her? Or is it symbolic like that? Or is it literal that there's something connected to that friend of hers? I don't know. Very strange. But sometimes dreams are just dreams. They're just weird, disjointed musings of our subconsciousness. So I don't believe there's always meaning in the dreams, but I think that, some dreams really are maybe giving us a message of sorts. Well, and I've shared many times that I've had incredibly lucid and vivid dreams of meeting with people that I love who have passed on, and those to me are just incredible. And I do believe those are real, but of course I want to believe they're real. And in the case of my dad, it was really a fantastic opportunity to create some closure, just to have some time with him to, give him one last hug and tell him I loved him. And, it was really, really impressive experience. I really am thrilled that happened. Now, could it have been just the musings of my mind? Sure. But in either case, it was very healing for me. And so it's real in that regard, whether it was spiritually real or not. So very bizarre, though. All right, the next one is coming from Georgia. A couple of years ago, during early July, I was spending time with my best friend. We lived in a suburban neighborhood that was built over a forest land. Some of the woods were kept in backyards for private land, and my friend and I were going into the woods because we had grown bored. And we walked over to the backyard, and we started to walk up a hill. And then we arrived at the top, and we were standing in front of some bushes about up to our waist, and the woods were just right behind these bushes. This was around noon, and it was hot that day, with no breeze at all. We started to walk past the bushes when they started rustling violently. Well, this caused us to jump back and nearly sending me tumbling down the hill. My friend was so scared they began running back down the hill in sheer terror. I looked at him and I taunted him for being scared. I told him that it could have been a squirrel or something of that nature. I mean, rustling bushes, right? What else could it be? Especially during the day. I wasn't expecting anything else, for sure. After I told him that he was still standing there for about 2 seconds and ran home. I laughed a little inside, and I turned around back to the bushes. I saw it only for a split second. It was taller than I was at the time. It looked pitch black, but it was staring me right in the face. It looked like a man's shadow. I knew it wasn't mine because I'd been frozen up with fear. It then ran away to my left before it disappeared right before my eyes. I started feeling a cold sensation and began running down to my friend's house and told him everything. I ask you all, what was the thing that I saw? I never saw it again, but I can never forget that moment. If anyone can shed some light, I would be really thankful. Wow. I don't know. This could be a shadow person. This is Georgia, so it could be, something to do with the Civil War. Some angry spirit that's stuck out there. I don't know. Mr. Nubis. All right, the next one's from Texas. Oof, this is a little long. What the hell? We'll do it anyway. It's dated June 2005 in Kerrville, Texas. Looks like Kerrvill. Or maybe it's Kerrville. I know that Kerr can be pronounced care. But I've always been fascinated by ghosts and tales of the paranormal, and I've always had an open mind about that kind of thing, especially if I feel I'm in a place that could potentially have some paranormal activity. When I've had the experience that I'm about to share with you, I was just not prepared whatsoever. It was 3 years ago, and I was still living with my parents in Lake Hills, Texas. I was 18 and just recently met a guy named Jeremy. That seemed pretty cool, and I decided to take a drive out of Kerrville, about 40 miles away, and hang out with him for the day. After driving around town for a while, he suggested we should check out this an old dam that wasn't far to hang out and talk. We were driving in the small neighborhood and was surrounded by a wooded area, and he instructed me to park on the side of the road in front of some trees. We climbed over a barbed wire fence and found a steep trail going down towards the dam. We eventually got to this clearing where we could see the creek and the dam. It's a little difficult to explain how it was all set up, but I will try. There was a cement wall that went up the hill on the side where my car was parked, and there was a cement slab that was connected to this that went from the corner of the dam and the trail that extended about 20 feet by 4 feet until it dropped off. The drop was about 15 feet to the rocky bottom at the edge of the creek below. The dam was perpendicular to the cement slab and we were sitting on and extended about 100 yards to another cement wall on the other side of the creek. We were sitting on the small cement slab looking out over the creek that was still and shallow below the dam wall, and the wall of the dam that faced the creek was slanted at 45-degree angle. The creek was completely visible to me, completely visible to the other side of the dam. There was a thick wooded area parallel to the dam with the creek in the middle. I really hope I'm not confusing or boring anyone with the description, but this has important relevance to my story. Basically, we were sitting on the small cement slab overlooking the creek below with the dam on our right side and the woods to our left. It was late in the afternoon and the sun was going down over the horizon, and we were chatting when we heard a faint sound of drums in the distance past the woods. It was slow but steady, and we stopped talking to listen to it. Not knowing what to make of it, we started joking that maybe it was some hobos having a party in the woods. We didn't really think anything of it because it sounded so far away. The sky was starting to get really dark by this time, and the drumming never stopped. It was getting louder and seemed to be coming closer to the part of the creek that was visible to us, and we couldn't hear anything or anyone but the drumming. The sound of the drumming was rhythmic. It wasn't just a constant loud thumping. It actually sounded pretty good, besides the fact that it was starting to make me nervous. All of a sudden, the sound of the drumming seemed to come out from the woods and into the clearing of the creek. I just froze because I was starting to get really scared. The dust made a small part of the creek visible, with whatever light was left over from the day. I was looking out over the water when I saw the shadow of a figure moving across the creek towards the dam. The drumming was getting louder and faster, and it startled me, and I pointed it out to Jeremy and told him that what I saw. And he was trying to play it cool, and he didn't see anything, and told me not to worry, that it must be some old guy messing with us. And I was still watching it move across the creek, and then it started to move up the wall of the dam. It didn't just move, it glided up the wall. I was shocked that whatever was drumming moved up the wall with such ease and was still able to play the whole time. It It was finally at the top of the dam, and that's when it started coming towards us and getting even louder and faster. Jeremy finally admitted that he could hear it getting closer and started to suggest that we leave. I was way ahead of him. I grabbed my stuff and started heading towards the corner of the cement slab, the beginning of the dam, and the trail back up to my car. It terrified me because I had to walk closer to whatever or whoever was coming towards us in order to leave. I thought about looking out towards the drummer to see if I could make out what or who it was, but I was way too scared and just wanted to get in my car and leave as soon as possible. I was trekking up the hill with Jeremy behind me, and all of a sudden, the music stopped. Well, this scared me more than I already was because I knew it must be following us up the trail by that point. We ran as fast as we could, climbed inside my car, and got the hell out of there. That was the single most terrifying moment of my life. I barely said a word to Jeremy on the way back to his house. After I dropped him off, I took a long drive back to my house, trying to figure out what it could have been. It was very possible that it was someone trying to mess with us, but I don't see how they could have known we were there because we weren't talking loudly and it was too dark for them to see us on that slab. I've been in other situations where people would scare me and my friends with some grand scheme, but this didn't seem at all like that. I mean, this was really going out of someone's way to just scare a couple of kids. The most startling thing about that whole experience was the fact that it moved up the wall so easily while playing the drums. It sounded like a small bongo drum that could be strapped around someone's body. To this day, I still think about that night and try to come up with some logical explanation for what or who was out there with us. And I still have no idea. Wow, that's pretty intense. Very intense. Good God, it's already 52 minutes. Wow. Well, that absolutely flew by, ladies and gentlemen. I guess that's going to wrap it up. I still got to record that podcast for tonight and get it over to Don for the production. But I guess that's going to wrap it up. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you all for being here. I'm also going to listen back to that 26 minute mark and see if I can hear whatever the hell that was. But I hope you guys have a wonderful Monday. Again, send out the positive vibes. It's going to be an amazing day, and maybe it'll help a little. But love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can. I'll be back tomorrow night, ladies and gentlemen. Don't miss it. And watch for the podcast tomorrow, wherever you get podcasts from, because it should be there. Unless you got Stitcher, then you should look somewhere else. All right, guys, have a great night. Thank you so much. And I'll be back tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on YouTube to bring you more of the bedtime stories. Good night, everybody.